My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Noonas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Jessie.
I'm Natalia.
And I'm Sky.
And it's just the three of us today because we all watched a little 8-episode show that's a real character study about trauma and, marriage and society, and also was a show that brought you the most awkward dinner party ever put on film. That's right. We all watched the new Netflix show, The Trunk, which literally just came out last week, and we watched the entirety of the show. Mm-hmm. So this is a spoiler episode. So if you haven't finished The Trunk, pause this and come back when you finish The Trunk. And if you have watched it, well, we're going to talk about it. And if you weren't planning on watching it, and because it's not your thing, that's cool. You can still listen to us talk about it. You're allowed. We aren't going to kick you out.
Might be confused, but it's fine.
Can we start with some content warnings, probably?
Yes. Oh, yeah. There is content warnings for stalking, and assault. There is content warnings for miscarriage. What other?
Suicide.
Suicide, abuse.
I guess there's assault.
Assault.
So domestic violence, attempted murder.
Yeah.
Lots of attempted murder.
Just rife with the attempted murder, it's a show about fundamentally broken people being
tread carefully if you have difficulty with any of those things, because it is not just a passing thing. It is big through points.
Also, the show is rated R. So if you do not enjoy rated R shows, I know Gong You is a snack, but maybe skip it. It's fine. It's okay. You don't need to watch a show just for an actor if it's not the type of show that you can watch. So worry not, friends. If that's the case, you can just listen to us talk about it. You get the same, you'll know what's up. Okay, we'll tell you what the plot was, so you don't have to be out of the loop on social media.
And then you can stare at the poster. Maybe that'll.
Yeah, and that'll you can go look at the really awesome photo shoot that
they're very pretty.
Oh yeah,
that him and So Hyun Jin put out, because it's good vibes. And also, we have an episode about So Hyun Jin and one about Gong Yoo. So you can go watch those episodes as if you're just needing that in your life. It's cool. So just as we said, this is a spoiler episode. It says so in the thumbnail that it's on the spoiler episodes playlist if you're on our YouTube. Hello, YouTube people. So we will be spoiling it. So this is your final warning that spoilers will be coming. So do not
get mad at us.
You cannot get upset if we spoil things, because we have just said we will be doing so. And let's talk about The Trunk. Who wants to tell the world?
Oh my gosh, how do you tell the world
what the trunk is about? Because oh boy, is this show something?
How do you
well, I think one thing that's a little difficult about the show is it's not completely linear in how it's telling the story, which is fascinating, but it makes it difficult to recall in order to describe it, because you do a lot of kind of back and forth with some stuff.
Mm-hmm. It does, and it doesn't tell you where it is in the narrative when it switches between the past and the present.
Yeah.
So
it's not like they have a camera filter that indicates, you
just have to
and the
pay
past
attention.
And the present are fairly close to where they are now, so there's no visual cues and aging of the actors and actresses. It's it is kind of hard.
Yeah, it is.
You have that, and then you actually have flashbacks to childhood. So at least those, it's at least you have those visual cues. But the other recent history stuff, it's very. Honestly, some of it I wouldn't be able to tell you timeline which one we were actually in. Probably, I would guess. but I don't know if I'd be 100% sure.
Yeah, especially on just like one viewing. I guess like essentially it is about Noin Ji, who's played by So Hyun-jin, and Han Jung-won, played by Gong Yoo. They are paired together through NG's work, where they do like marriage contracts essentially. And it's kind of like a straightforward business where like you have yearly contracts and you renew them if you want to pair up people kind of straightforwardly in marriage, so that like you have a person and it's not based on like really love or anything. It's kind of just like factors that like, yeah, like it's a very like, you know, like if you like the same things or you have the same day-to-day things, work,
or you like need
hours,
a wife or a husband for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you need someone who's also allergic to the same thing or something. You know, like it's very like structured in that way. And at the beginning, Jongwon's has left his ex-wife, or she left him, and he still has a very strong connection with her. And you find very quickly that she's very abusive. She uses him a lot, and he has a lot of issues going on with like sleep and kind of a recluse. He's like a music producer, and really only produces music, and that's the only time he's like out in public, like essentially. And so it's kind of the story about the two, NG and Jongwon's relationship and the kind of secrets that they both have, but also connecting with each other, like as humans.
And there's a murder.
Yeah, there's a murder.
Who's connected to, and the victim is connected to both of them.
And if you look at any of the promo stuff, the trunk is the essential like storyline of the show. Like it's very much in the synopsis that this mysterious trunk has appeared. But like you really only get the mysterious trunk like halfway through the show. And then it becomes like just the clue in the murder. Like it's not like as tied mysterious as I think the promos are giving to us.
Yeah.
Although like, it is a central thing and it is important. However, it's not like as
like if I were to have written it based on the promo, I would have like really upped, you know, just based on what they were saying. I thought it was like
I thought the trunk was gonna be very big, and like I thought it was gonna be referenced a lot too, like, and it's really like referenced in terms of but it's only referenced like mostly in terms of the murder case, not like them. By the police, like I thought that like there's like a few would talk about it all the time.
There's like a few cases, like when you first see her appear at his house, she does have this mysterious trunk that she's pulling
like
with her
a little bit.
And then again, you see when she's buying it, there's a scene of like the purchasing of the trunk.
So you keep thinking, especially you have the promo stuff in your head. So you're going, this is super important, like super important.
I gotta remember this trunk. This trunk's like, really a big important.
Deal. It truly is. But like, I really thought it was going to be like the key to everything, which maybe it was, but like I still thought it was going to be
everywhere. Like you were going to keep on seeing it and be like, oh,
right, like it would haunt them essentially, you know, like some big deal,
or like they would try to like, I guess like trying to up it in a like a mysterious, ghostly way, even if it never was going to be in a fantasy world. Like it just like had that like aura of mystery to it that was like otherworldly.
Or I thought, oh, maybe they're willing to kill each other because of the trunk. You know, like, oh, it's a big deal.
Maybe
so like
betrayal
like, because of the trunk.
Family
like
secrets.
Something like that.
And like technically, technically there is a reveal with the trunk at the end, which is a very sad reveal. Like I will be honest, it was actually very tragic reveal in the trunk, but like it's not the reveal that you think it's leading up to at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a lot of this show, is that it's important to remember that nothing leads up to what you think it's going to lead up to ever.
Yeah, it does play that up all the time. Like even in like small instances, like the way you think they will react to each other doing something, you think it's going to be something else, and then it never actually ends up being that. It's kind of catches you off guard a little bit.
Mm-hmm. The show is very interesting if you like pensive character studies, which I do, and I think
of tortured characters,
of just real sad people. Okay. Just absolutely broken, miserable people. I do enjoy that.
I absolutely enjoy it.
But this is the sort of show that is not for a lot of people, I think.
I do agree.
And because it is like a very, like the whole show is very suffocating.
Yes.
When you're watching it, because these people are all in prisons of their own minds throughout this entire show.
And also like outside factors that are smothering them as well.
And it really does primarily focus on Gong Yu's character, because everything sort of revolves around him, because this marriage has all started because his ex-wife is, now I don't like to throw this around too much, but this woman is a psychopath. And I'm not talking like, you know, how you just randomly call people psychopaths when they're doing shitty things. Like, I would think that this woman actually has antisocial psychopathic tendencies. Because everything that she does, from the moment you meet her to when she's in the past to the end of the show, is not something that a person does to other people if they actually care about people at all.
Yeah.
She is, instead of working through her own issues, she makes it everyone else's problems and does not care about how this affects other people, or really seems to consider that other people are important in any way. So,
and she's not shy about that. She's
very open. Like, yeah, but she's basically like, yeah, I'm a bitch. But no, she's not actually. She's just
more
a psychopath. So, like, basically,
and
like
a rich one.
Yes, a rich psychopath who has the money to be insane. So, like, if someone kills themselves because of her, well, she didn't make them do that. They could have just not done that. Instead of just, you know, like, there's the long plot line that you find out is what destroyed their marriage that shouldn't have existed to begin with. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Is that she got pregnant and he was very excited to be a father, because you find out that his own father was incredibly abusive, physically and mentally, and caused his mother to kill herself, which she did in front of him. And the father, like, would constantly, the big thing that the father did was he had surveillance cameras in their house and would constantly watch what they were doing all the time. So he has this whole thing about surveillance cameras, but he was very excited to be a father because he thought, I don't have to be my father's son anymore. Now I can be someone's father, and that can be my new identity, and I can be a good father. But she never told him that she does not want children.
No.
And instead of just being honest and being like, hey, I'm going to get an abortion because I don't want children, she decides to go 8 months into this pregnancy, which is she had a hard pregnancy. I will give her a little sympathy on this front. It is very well shown that her pregnancy was not a good one. Okay. Yeah. And she's like, I'm going to kill myself and this child. And he witnesses her attempt to do this. And so what caused the breakdown, other than this in their marriage, is that while she's going into surgery after trying to step into traffic to die, she hears him tell the surgeon to save the kid instead of her.
No, because to save the kid first.
First.
Is what he said.
Yeah. If there's a choice, save the kid. Yeah. Because he just witnessed her try to murder, essentially, what he would see as murdering his child. And so she then decides to torture him for the rest of her life, and his, by divorcing him and then telling him, if you do this marriage thing for a year, maybe I'll think about taking you back. And he's so codependent on her because he has no identity outside of his relationship with other people. And he has very few people in his life. He knows like 3 other people. And also the cops are always after him because when he was 17, he did some drugs. She's also got him addicted to drugs.
Yeah,
and
he's managed tight grasp.
And he's managed to get off of illegal drugs, but she keeps sending him more drugs and being like, don't take them. I want you to resist taking these drugs and do this marriage and do everything for me. Everything for me. And if you do this, like, I'll replace this horrible chandelier in your house that you hate because it reminds you of your father, which she then does, but then installs, you know, surveillance equipment so she can watch him all the time because she needs to control him all the time. And it's so insane.
It really is. But there's like, she says something, I wish I had like written it down. She says something interesting when they're like discussing why she did that and why she hated the pregnancy so much. And she was talking about like how it was like, it wasn't even like him that was doing like focusing on the baby. It was everybody around her, and she was nothing. And like, it's like this very like impactful thing because like, not only is it like bad for someone who is in her mental state as she is, because she needs to have people looking at her. And this baby was taking everything away from her, like to the point, like she was like losing jobs and stuff because of this baby. And, but like, also that's what happens to good, nice humans that get pregnant as well. And on top of it, we see multiple times in the show that like she would like, one of the first things we see was she goes to her doctor and she wants to get it like hysterectomy. She doesn't want to have kids anymore. And they're like, maybe you want to have kids later. We're not going to do it. And they just never give her the chance. So
don't
like,
we know it?
Society is not letting her not potentially be a mother baby maker. And the person that she was with also was just like, I just want this baby. This is the only thing. And she was like, no, this is not what I want to do. And like on top of it, when she goes out, like she steps out into the street to kill herself and the baby, she's staring at him the entire time.
Yeah. So he knows that she's doing it.
Yeah.
Like she wants him to know that this is what she's doing, that she's not like accidentally doing it. That this is a conscious choice that in his mind, he now thinks he caused. And it's like, and he did, but he didn't, because it wasn't like an intentional harm that he was doing. He thought they were just doing a normal thing that married people do. You know?
Yeah. So I want to clarify. She, as far as based on what we're shown, it doesn't seem like she ever explicitly told him early on,
I don't want kids.
I don't want kids.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. It seems like she kept that all inside. And so like, I just want to be clear about that.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like it's not as if he was being malicious. He didn't know he was forcing, like they do say, he says, I essentially didn't know I was forcing her to do something she didn't want to do. Like, and he honestly, says that.
It's very possible that like she didn't know until
she didn't want to, until
she was pregnant, that like this wasn't going to be what I thought. Right. Because like there is a like, you know, kind of going in, but like maybe that like all eyes will be on me because I am the pregnant one. And then you like realize, oh no, wait, I'm just
not me. It's
the
not
carrier
me
of the baby.
Yeah.
And I think it like it's like kind of like a great like fascinating thing to do it with her character, because her character is so evil, but also showing this very real,
it's very sympathetic.
Yeah, and it's like a very like
it almost
popular
does, like,
topic, you know, like a lot of like shows kind of like do it in a very like a little quieter way, where they'll like kind of talk about like, you know, how it's like, oh, you know, the father gets to still get their name, but like you have to be so and so's mom. And like you have this character who is just like evil too, but like also shows that she was failed by society as well.
Because like the solution for her, to be honest, but this wouldn't have even worked because of the way that, you know, conservative patriarchal society set up, is like she could have just had the kid, given it to him, and left.
Yeah.
And that would have been the best possible outcome for everyone involved in this situation. Do you know what I mean? But because of the way that like patriarchal societies are set up, she would never be able to do that.
Yeah.
It would constantly be like, you're evil. She's evil, but not for this reason, for abandoning your child. When the fact is, it's like, if you don't want a kid, you shouldn't raise the kid.
Yeah.
The kid will know they are not wanted.
Couldn't do that because like it would be possible, like especially with Korea's laws, it actually favors the father like almost always.
Yeah.
But she's not going to do that because he wants the kid.
Yeah, and so she wants to punish him.
She's got to punish him. She's got to be in control of everything that is with him. Like, it is the only time that she feels happy is being in control
of
if
he
him.
Is not.
Because she's now, like, married to another guy from the marriage contract place.
And this other guy is
and she's controlling to him, but, like...
He likes it, though.
There. But, like,
he's just like, hell yeah.
There. If she needs to, she's gonna like focus on Gong Yu's character. She's not gonna focus on this other guy. Like he is more important to like be in control of than her current husband.
Yeah. And also, by the way, the current husband is played masterfully by the actor Jo Ye-gun, but it's not on MTL. So if you were wondering who's this actor, he's for some reason not on MTL. His name is Jo Ye-gun.
That's so weird.
And this is the only show he's ever been in, according to Asian Wiki.
Oh, wow.
But
I felt like I had seen him before, though.
He does look familiar.
Well, according to Asian Wiki, he's a model or something.
Maybe.
Apparently he was also in Eden, the show Eden on Netflix, but that's also like he's just doesn't seem to be on this.
That's so weird.
I was like, because I just was like looking for him.
He has such a big role.
Yeah, I was like, where is he? Like,
yeah, that guy's like in every episode. Like it's a big role. That's so weird.
That's so bizarre.
What are we doing?
I need to look him up.
Well, I was just like, you know, just casually like looking, and I was like, oh yeah, I wonder who actually played, because I thought he did a really good job. And so before we started recording, Jessie and I were actually talking about the murder mystery aspect of the show. Yes. And so I was like, and not spoiler alert because we already said it, the guy who gets murdered, we'll get into his character in a bit, but he is murdered by the contract husband. So I was like, oh, like I got to see like who played him, because I thought he did such a good job. And I'm like scrolling through like the cast list, and I'm like, wait a second, where the hell is he? Like he's not here. Like where? I was like, something's up.
That is such an oversight.
It's so strange, right?
Hey, I want to say to the listeners, like, we are aware my drama list is pretty much entries based on like just people that want to enter them, just like Wikipedia. So like, we're not blaming anybody. Like, it's whatever. It's just interesting because it usually doesn't. It's a pretty main character.
But it's like, you can't even, it's so funny because I even went into like because on MDL you can edit and you can like add people, sort of like Wikipedia. And I like went in to add him, and he's not even on MTL anywhere, so you can't even add him. And I'm just like, oh no, that's why he's like I don't know who to talk to at MDL to be like, hey, you should probably add this actor. But he did a really good job. So
he did.
But we can't really get into his character because, like, we've got, Gong Yu's whole situation. And you're thinking, well, obviously the wife can't have a whole tragic situation. Oh, Jesus. Just listen.
There's just a lot of
a lot went down with her, leading to why she works in this. So her backstory. This is listen, biphobia kills us all. Okay,
right.
I was so. Her backstory is she has a horrible mom that you never meet because she hates her so much that she is just like, my mother is dead.
Hey, yeah. I appreciated that we never got a mom jump scare.
We didn't get a mom jump scare.
No.
It didn't need
And that mom was out of her life by like college, like essentially.
She was like, nah, we're done with this shit. We're done with this shit. So she had like two best friends because she hated her mom. So she had two friends who also didn't have families. And they had a really good life together, but then you find out one of the friends killed herself. Was it connected to the evil wife? It's implied that was the case. Yeah. So after this, like, her friendship sort of has broken down, but she meets a really nice guy, okay? And they're engaged. And this man is a bisexual man, which she knows, okay?
Yeah, she knows.
And she's cool with it. They're joking about it. She's like, okay, we'll only stay married till we're 70. Then then we'll get a divorce and you can go spend the rest of your life with a man and we'll still be friends. Like, we'll have a good time. Like, we're all having fun. But you know who was not having fun? Two people. One, she has a stalker. She's had a stalker for a while. And, oh, shocker, the cops don't really care because he's never done anything violent to her.
Another failure for women.
And then also she has this terrible mother that you never meet. So then the stalker sends the mother this sex tape from her fiance's youth that was taken without his knowledge of him with a man. And then the mother outs him on the internet as being bisexual, which is like, this is no one's business. And so he then leaves the country because he has been so, like, his life, he cannot live life anymore in Korea because everyone knows who he is and everyone saw him having sex with a man. So no one will, which, like, shitty, real shit.
And I also want to emphasize, like, when the outing also, it's not just like, hey, this random guy. It's like this guy that works at
this company.
And this company with a reasonably high position, not like super, super high, but ruins. Like it's very much like
ruinous.
Messed up his career too.
Yeah.
Like it was really.
And then done like, I think he's running a marriage scam on my beloved daughter, who she hasn't spoken to in like 6 years. And is just doing this as, because this need to control people who don't want you in their lives. Like that's sort of like this, what the byline of like, the psychopathy that's being presented by this show. That
the dad, the mom.
This need to control people is at the root of all the problems. So after this, So Hyun Jin's character, Inji, is understandably a little bit done with the whole marriage situation because he just fucking left her. He didn't tell her he was leaving. And so she's been basically waiting for him to come back for like 6 years. Oops, sorry, I just broke something I was holding. So he's I was fiddling with my hair clip and it just broke. I'll just fix it later. It's fine, I can fix it. And so she like resents him, whereas you then find out he also kind of resents her, but they don't hate each other. They just resent each other because of how it all went down, which that's understandable.
It is absolutely
on everyone's part. Yeah. On everyone's part. So she has kept their apartment, which the stalker has been breaking into and killing her fish. And then the landlady's been going in and replacing the fish because the landlady promised to keep the fish alive.
And she thinks that she's the one killing the fish.
Which, like, this show, for
I know, she's also like an informant for the marriage contract agency. Yeah. Like, it's a whole thing.
Like to be honest, like the show, it's a very like terse, tense show, but there will be occasional like moments of levity like this that aren't like slapsticky levity. Like they're really human, normal life levity that just happens that you're just like, this is just real life comedy in real life, you know? So she then goes to work for this marriage contract thing because she doesn't believe in love anymore. Marriage love? No. But she can do contract marriages where she doesn't have any actual emotion for these people. And she's very good at it because you very quickly find out is that she is efficient at problem solving and
she's
very
smart.
Focused on problem solving, which is a fun, competent character to have. And so when she meets Gong Yu's character, Jong-won, who is the most broken man you've ever met.
He is the saddest of sacks.
He's such a little sad emo boy. She immediately clocks the ex-wife is the reason that his ongoing sadness is happening. His father, who has been in an ongoing like end of life palliative care coma, she's like, this man needs to die. This woman needs to not be part of his life, and I think I can do it in a year. This is the first woman you've ever met when someone says I can fix him. This is the first time where you're literally. Like, maybe she could actually, she actually have a chance. And then that's her job in this marriage.
Yeah,
is to fix him, and she immediately goes into very like, I will fix him. And then, but then, she kind of falls for his sad boy emo charms.
And then it's very, I will fix him.
Yeah. I will fix him.
You kind of like, you find out because like she's able to like get a lot out of him like quickly, more than like any other person has ever had. Like things that are like from his past and that sort of thing. But they like you very quickly learn they connect with each other in a way, and they are able to like do things for each other that are they're not like some grand gesture. They're very human and real and just like honest, like people being good to other people because that's how you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And they both do it, even though Gong Yu's character has a lot going on. He like pretty instantly like starts doing things for her just because of how genuine their conversations are starting. And like that's the one thing that I thought was like really interesting about her, because it's like, yes, this is her job. She's also uses these marriages as data for the company as well, and like how to like restructure their questionnaires or whatever. But like not once when they have these like situations where they're talking about like really hard things in Gong Yu's character's past did it ever seem that it was like disgenuine. Like she's good at what she does, but she's also just like a good human and a good
she's empathetic. She's empathetic, and she actually like sees immediately through his bullshit that he pulls on everyone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because he does a lot of things where to push people away. Like he repels people by just kind of just being himself.
Make food and he'll be like, I don't eat breakfast. And she's like,
she'll be like, well, I do. So
whatever.
She'll be like, well, it seems like a you problem. Sit your ass down and eat breakfast. You know what I mean? Like, and just little by little, she very much chips away at everything about him that is broken and says, hey, you don't have to live this way.
And when it comes to this chipping down, it's obvious that she is not doing it. Sorry, the ladybug just got me.
We're having a night tonight with the
There are a lot of ladybugs in my house. It's a thing. It's flying around. Sorry. It about went in my mouth.
That derailed your thought completely right then. Okay. The thing about that she's doing it not to be...
Oh. She's not trying... I just wanted to be clear, like, chipping away at him and stuff, it's not manipulation. It is not... She's not doing that because of her job, to seduce him for her own... Like, it's not... She really is doing it for him. Like, it's obvious. Make that very plain that she has no ulterior motive to actually, like, literally help him.
Yeah.
It's just
she's
truly what she wants to do.
Getting anything out of it.
Yeah.
Like,
she just is like, she clocks early on how broken he is and why, and she kind of just redirects it. It's literally, she just like understands immediately, oh, this person is like not just like grumpy tsundere human being. He's actually very hurt in very real ways, and there's very like big things wrong with him, and he needs a human to be with him, because like he doesn't have humans with him. His ex-wife is not a human. Like, he does have a friendship with his like music producer or like
partner, like his
partner.
The CEO
I don't remember.
of the company that he mostly owns.
But it's very just like surface level, even though it's very clear that he does care for him. Like, they both do like
care for each other,
but they're not like, he's also not like someone who you can like talk to about like the things of Gong Yu's character's past. Like, it's just not going to happen.
His friend has a financial stake that relies on Gong Yu's character. Like, without Gong Yu, his friend has no job and no money.
And he has a family of his own, so he has to like worry about that too. Like, so like, that's not a human for Gong Yu's character to have. And then Inji comes in, and it's like, this is actually like the human contact he needs. And that's what's actually making him better, is just the normalcy of like an actual, just like decent human being. Like, just like straight line. Like, she's not even doing any grand thing. Like, she's like, she'll say like one thing, or just like say a really like simple sentence. And it's just like, nobody ever told that man in his entire life these things, and so it's like not like normal to him.
And then she's also just very efficient with how she goes about fixing his life. Like, she notices he takes a lot of drugs, so she immediately takes all of his drugs, takes one pill from each drug, bags it up, sends it to a private investigator. It's like, I need you to identify what each of these drugs are. This is what the bottle says they are. I need you to tell me what they are. And she's like, I am going to get this man off of drugs. I'm going to solve this man's night terrors. I am going to fix this man's shitty diet. I'm going to make him want to be in the world and see people instead of push people away. And it's really interesting because you can tell his turning point is when he finds out about her stalker. Because before this, he doesn't actually have any interest in other people's lives other than his ex-wife, because he's obsessed. He's very codependent because the ex-wife has made him codependent through her abuse of him. Which would have been very easy to do as the child of abuse. You know, like he was primed to be then abused by his partner, because that's how these things work. So then he finds out about this stalker and immediately think, and sort of like you can see the character go, I can actually help someone who needs my help, because I don't have anything likable about me but money. And I can use my money to do this. So he just goes like, what can I do to help? Like, what do you need me to do? And she's like, nothing. Like, I can.
So I'm just going to clarify just for the listener. So like, the stalker is for the contract wife.
Yes, the contract wife, not the
reiterate
ex-wife.
Here.
And so he goes like, what can I do to help? And the contract wife is like, absolutely nothing, because this has nothing to do with our marriage. This is like something of my own thing. And he's like, that's not really how marriages work, though. Like,
it's not, but it is in the terms and services of their contract. Because she like brings up those like things that it's supposed to be, and like one of the things is if like it's something that was like brought in from out, like pre-existing,
it's not no one's business.
Contracted partner doesn't have to take on the responsibility of that. That's like part of their contract.
But the long running joke is that he has never actually read the contract or the manual. He just signed it.
Yeah,
and so he is just operating as though that doesn't exist at all moments. So he's like, well, I'm just gonna do something about it anyway.
Well, anyways.
But unfortunately, the stalker, if there's only one person crazier in this show than the ex-wife, you are presented with the stalker played by Kim Dong-won to an incredible, impeccable acting on this guy. He's unnerving at every point.
He really is. And this is a stalker that she's had for an extremely long time. So it's like kind of like she's in a position where she has like the stalker is part of her baggage.
Mm-hmm. He's
also been there for so long that like he's kind of always there in the background, but like he's not always center stage in her life because it's been this long. Except for the events that start happening, like that lead the stalker to kind of
he starts escalate
to a higher degree. But like before, it's kind of just like he's there, it's a thing, but it's not always taking over her life like you think that he would.
And also, wasn't he in jail for a time period? And then
he was in a mental hospital.
Got out.
Yeah,
mental hospital. Yeah. Sorry.
So her company, he murdered someone at her company. And since the company is not operating above board, okay, this is not technically a legally recognized service that they are doing at this company, and society's not really ready for this business marriage company quite yet. So the CEO of the company, instead of telling the cops that a murder had taken place, covers it up and gets him admitted to like a mental hospital that she has connections with. But you can't hold someone at a mental hospital forever in the modern world. Mm-hmm. If they're determined to get out, they will get out. So he's out. He's just living his life, and by living his life, I mean just stalking her, just going places he knows. Fish. And killing fish, going places that he knows she'll eventually be, and ingratiating himself with people that she knows. And just being unsettling. And the guy that he murdered was like an ex-special ops security guard. Like high-level like training. And he just killed him like it was nothing. So she's like, do not go near this guy. Do not threaten this guy. He killed like a professional, okay? Like you sad boy Gong Yu, like who doesn't exercise and doesn't leave his house except to go to his work where he works as a music producer behind a computer. You ain't got a chance, okay? Like just mind your business, please. But you know what will get someone is someone with a long-running grudge against you will find ways. Even if you're the ex-fiance, bisexual ex-fiance back from Hungary who has nothing more than a fruit knife.
And a dream.
A fruit knife and a dream and the passcode to an apartment. You will find a way to set forth the series of events that leads to this man's demise. Yeah.
Also, whenever the stalker was like being stalkery, the way he set up a meeting with the ex-wife.
Oh, he's all over.
Terrified her. And then since she kept being awful to the contract wife, because of course she was.
Yeah.
He of course clocked it. And the stalker's like, no one gets to be creepy except for me.
Yeah. But he doesn't even consider what he's doing creepy. You know? Like, he's like, I just admire her.
Right.
And people who aren't good enough for her shouldn't be around her. But what Jessie and I were talking about, the other half of this show, not really half, it's like more like quarter of the show, is these two cops investigating this murder. I gotta say, these two cops are a delight. Okay, they're not like
these two cops are the cops that have the trunk the entire time. Yes. So the trunk is really there.
the trunk is with them, and it's like these two cops, and you know how like Jessie, I know, gets really annoyed with stupid cops, but these aren't stupid cops, but they're not.
They're in an impasse.
Like
they're kind of like
their interactions are comical together, like, because you can tell they've, like, the way that it's presented, they don't give you any background on these cops, but like with what they're saying and the way they act, you can tell these two have been working together for a long time, and one's like sort of a middle-aged one and then a younger one, and you can tell the middle-aged one is so constantly annoyed at the younger one, who is not picking up his ugh. But
So the younger one is played by a guy from Beauty and Mr. Romantic. And in Beauty and Mr. Romantic, that actor was also like comedic timing-y, like that. So like it was the same stuff. I was like, oh, he's doing his stuff again.
Yeah. And as we said before, it's not like a slapstick comedic, but it is. Well, but it will be like real comedy.
Yes.
Like offering, like holding the dude's coffee, and the older guy's like
trying to grab it.
But he just keeps talking and like ignoring, just normal human funny. It's just
like talking with his hands so the guy cannot get the coffee, and he's just like, come on, bro. But like the two cops together are really fun, and it'll have them like interviewing all of the people who were like in this story. And it's
like a slow reveal. It's a very slow reveal who died.
Yeah.
Yes.
You only find out about halfway through.
Yeah, I think it's like the 4th episode when we finally get a name.
And then it's only literally the end of the 8th episode where you find out who actually killed him. Because literally everyone, this is what I was laughing about with Jessie, is I thought it was such a fun reveal that the person in this story who seemingly there's only one other person, like basically the only other people who have less of a motive to kill this guy are like Gong Yu's only friend and his wife are the only family. Like less of a motive, because it's the contract husband who is the murderer, which you then find out like he had a little bit of a motive and also was told to do it.
A couple motives, really.
Yeah, he had a couple motives here or there, but just not as strong of a motive as most everyone else in this.
It's kind of like a little bit more passive than like what. It's like, yes, he did know the other guy, like, but like also he's just kind of doing it for his boss.
Yeah,
and
like the boss asked him to.
And he kind of feels bad because at that point he's like he has broken up with his contract with the ex-wife. So like he feels like a failure at work.
And also he genuinely liked this crazy woman. Like he was into it. He was here. There's some people and I know everyone knows one of these people in their real lives from their past somewhere that just loves toxic shit.
Yeah.
Okay. They love that they thrive in a toxic environment. And he was thriving in a toxic environment, okay? He's like,
this is kind of fun.
He's like, listen, she might be a psychopath, but I think she's kind of hot. Like, I'm fucking into it. Is she doing really illegal shit, like surveilling her ex-husband?
Kind of annoying, but like sometimes too. Like,
she's a bit of a, like, listen, everything is, if you're wearing rose-colored glasses.
I just want to say, like, because, you know, he had his crush on her, like all that stuff. But when push came to shove, and like his coworker would need some information, or Gong Yu's character needed to come he'd get out of the way. Like he would help them, and
he'd be like, listen, I'm her fake husband. I'm not her lawyer.
But he would do that thing. He'd be like, but maybe can we just not think about this? Maybe just go home, please.
Yeah,
okay,
we don't have to do
whatever.
This. Oh well, okay.
that room right there. Come on.
And you find out that he was a fencer, and so he basically stabs him with a fencing foil, like a sharpened fencing foil, which I think led to one of the funniest interactions with the cops, where the cop was asking the ex-wife, do you know what this murder weapon was? And she's like, no. And he's like, it's a sharp, pointy object. And she's like, there's so many, that could be anything. She's like, there's hundreds sharp, pointy objects. What do you want from me here? Which then
I think it was so funny too, because it was clearly she was like, I'm not the one being paid to figure this out. You,
yeah, I'm not gonna help you do your job, because she does know that she knows that he did it, but she also does not care that he did it.
Yeah, she's
and I'll get you a lawyer.
She's like, that's hot. We're back together.
I'm actually, you know what? Your willingness to murder on command has really made me reevaluate breaking up with you. I think we'll actually work as a couple from now on, which was the most human thing she does this entire show.
Actually, I did think, they make her very wild, but they showed a lot of various parts of her humanity. Yeah. It wasn't just her sad backstory. It wasn't just that. It was even in her present. It wasn't, oh, here's her redemption arc. It wasn't like that.
She doesn't have a redemption arc whatsoever.
And honestly, she was evil and but it wasn't Mokjong heightened too. It was just a terrible person doing terrible things. And there are really bad things. And of course, it's heightened in that only a person that pretty and that rich could do it. But it's so real that people do go to that extreme to be terrible to other people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But she's just, I will say the reveal of the trunk, because up until the very end, you do think that it is No-In-G's trunk, okay? And that what is in it is the manual, which would then expose
the manual and her contracts and
her contracts that would expose this slightly shady underground organization. But then you find out that no, it was actually the ex-wife's trunk, where she had locked away all of the baby things and left it at her at Gong Yu's house as a constant reminder of what he lost, because she's
nuts.
She's a bad person.
She's so bad.
So he done stole the wrong trunk, and
so guess what? You never get to know what's actually in her trunk.
Yeah, you never get to know what the manual is. You just find a trunk full of baby stuff. And it's just I was like, this is just literally such a good, and which then turns the trunk into a delightful MacGuffin.
Yeah.
Where you're
the
just
trunk is the friends we made along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was hyped up this whole entire time, and it's not even the right one.
It is really nice. And the show, I feel like the ending was perfect. And it's perfect because Gong Yu becomes a happier person and gets a bunch of cats.
I love that he became a cat guy.
And then she gets a little dog.
Yeah. And they finally get to be normal people. Normal humans doing normal things.
All in all, listen, I gave the show a 9 out of 10. I thought it was fantastic.
I really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. It was the type of show where if you really like character studies, because I think I've said this on the show, on this podcast before, is that at the core, there are two types of shows that happen, or shows or movies or whatever. There are character driven and there are plot driven shows. And then, so a show usually is primarily plot driven. So the plot is what's important, or it's character driven. And that can exist through all manner of genres. So there can be like a rom-com, I would argue, is more of a character-driven show because the plots of most rom-coms aren't that complex. Like you go in knowing
you could have a plot-driven one.
Yeah, but like it primarily, but then, and like sci-fi, I think is primarily, plot-driven as versus character-driven, depending on the sci-fi. I'm not talking about neuromancer here, but like this show was very much, the plot was secondary to watching these people and watch how they change when in proximity of one another.
Yeah, just their interactions.
Yeah. And I feel like it's the type of show that either like girls who get it and girls who don't. Like it's that sort of show. And that's not like in a derogatory way. I truly, if you don't like this show, that's totally fine, because not all shows are for all people. And God knows on this podcast, we all like shows that no one else on the podcast likes, and we're still friends. Like the reason Amanda isn't here is because she watched the first episode and said, "Nah, it's not really my thing."
And we've decided not to be a friend. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and we kicked her out. No, and so we're like, "Yeah, take a week off. Don't worry about it." And that's totally fine. The show is,
I think the show does occupy an interesting space of the type of tone that it has. It is pretty tense.
Yep.
Yes.
Not like 150% of the time, but a lot of the time. It covers very difficult topics. So like, 2 strikes for a lot of people. So like to me, those are the main things like you need to be worried about, like if you can even handle those before you enter this show. But character driven at a slow pace on some level for that, but while things are tense and kind of clicking quickly on another, like I can see how it could be boring to some people who don't like the character driven stuff.
Yeah, it does
the
have
relationship
a
to be
slow
different
pace in terms of what's going on. Yeah.
So
and
like
they're like moments
it'll
together
be slow,
become very slow and quiet.
How the 2 main characters interact, but on the flip side, like she's being super efficient and calling up the ex-wife, and they're having a knockdown drag out fight on an outdoor lift for construction. Like
oh
on
my
a
gosh, that was a
building.
great scene.
It was so
like,
good.
The moment I saw that lift, I'm like, they're gonna fight in that. There's no way that's not gonna happen.
And then I love later on where she was like, "I beat her up," and like Doggy was like, "You beat her up for me?" She's like, "Yeah, I beat her up." And he was like, "No one's ever beat up anyone for me before." Like,
they're adorable. They're adorable.
The 2 of them, you can see through it exactly how they go from business to love, and it's a very slow moving, pensive show.
Yeah,
and despite it only being 8 episodes, like it feels longer than 8 episodes.
And you know what? We didn't bring this up, but like the ex-wife handpicked her, Inji's character, for Gong Yu, which is like an interesting did
it to herself.
Because like then Inji's like, is it because we know each other from the past? Which like you kind of find out not really, because she kind of it's like just a passing thing. But she's like specifically the ex-wife like picks her because they're like she thinks that is someone who would be totally not his type and totally not good for him. And it's so funny because like she doesn't know anything about him really, because she has manipulated him. Like so like everything that she's doing to him is like just showing a side of him that's not him, and she hasn't picked up on it. And so then she's like, oh, this like wife would be good for him because it would be terrible. They won't get along at all. And then they immediately click. And I just thought it was like really funny on her behalf.
Then the flashbacks of like, it's obvious that like all the almost meet cutes that happen, but they're not quite meet cutes. But it's like, if they would have been able to meet back then more, it would have been a thing.
And like another thing that I really liked about this show is kind of in the way that it like does some of its cinematography. It's very horror driven. This is not a horror show, but the way that they set up a lot of the shots are horror driven. And I don't know if it's like was intentional, but like you do see that she has like affinity to horror movies, like be like really terrible horror movies, and she like watches them because there's like this one cute moment where they're both in the movie together watching horror, and Gong Yu's character just does not like the horror.
Cannot do it.
But like, I mean, there's just like some like really creepy moments that like you're like you look at them and you're like, this is a horror element, but like I'm not feeling that it's like going to be horror. Like the when Gong Yu's character finds out that the camera has been hidden in the chandelier, like he's walking down the staircase that's like right behind the chandelier, and he's like cut the chandelier so that it drops, and it's like lightning and thundering, and the way that the shadows are hitting all of the stairs and all of the like the chandelier, and the way that the chandelier drops is just like a perfect horror like setup of a shot. But it's like not scary, it's just like it's got that thriller vibe, like you don't know what's gonna go on, but it's just like was like visually really cool to watch. And that's not the only instance of like horror elements in the way that it's shot that like have really nothing to do with like the plot and what's going on.
We just really enjoyed it, the three of us.
I will bring up this because Natalia and I were talking about this before we recorded. I do feel that there was a misstep on the show. And that is with the character. I'm gonna actually find her character's name. Yuna, who is the wife of the music producer that like is with Gong Yu's character. She is kind of the third, like, or other representation of like a female who has been failed at society, because you find out that she has twins and she just isn't happy. Like this is not the life she wants, and her husband is very much emotionally not there. Like
he doesn't get it. He doesn't.
I mean, like he has, like he does do stuff with the kids. Like it doesn't show him as an absentee father by any means, but he just doesn't understand that like she's now like she doesn't like any of it, and she's not having fun, and she also just like doesn't want to
even like her children. Like she does not like being a mother.
And you don't get
which I think happens to a lot of women.
Yeah, like, absolutely. Like she has two young boys, and they're very rambunctious because like obviously they're children. And I kind of feel like the show didn't give her, like especially her and her family, that side, the attention it deserved. Because like a lot of the times you were seeing her without her family. Like she was going to meet up with the ex-wife or like do all this stuff, and so like we didn't get a lot, but it is another like way that the show is showing like females' role in society, how they're just not being able to be who they are, like, and have others take that from them.
But otherwise, thumbs up.
Yeah, I still liked it. I it's probably because it was 8 episodes too, and she was essentially like a smaller character as well.
Right.
I just think that like it started to be really interesting to me once you saw like the one moment where she's trying to tell him how she's feeling, and he's like joking it off, like essentially like go get like your go get a facial or whatever. I'll give you all the money you want. Like it was like, oh, we could have gotten a little bit more on this side too, but it wasn't like detriment to the show by any means.
Same thing with like the like Lee Ki-woo's character. Like as far as not that we needed to have way more screen time with him, but it seemed like a lot of build up for that character, and then you didn't really get to do much with it. Like I don't know. There could have been a little bit more, but it was fine. It was fine as it was. Whereas to me, I definitely thought the character that you're discussing, Jessie, like they explored her discontent with her life enough, and then they kind of just left it there. And not that there needed, again, the way this show does, it's not like poof, everything's better. It wouldn't have done, that's not this show. But it still was like we kind of set it up, and then it was just there it is, because like okay.
And also at the end of the day, they're in the current state of South Korean society, there's no actual solution for her. And I think just sort of leaving it was like a little effective in that sense, where it's just like she's stuck. And that's sort of what has been part of like the sort of the overall like vibe, is that like a lot of times people are what their situations that they can't escape have made them. So it would have been very interesting to have more of her character, because I thought she was also kind of fun. Like
she was fun. Like
she was fun
just
because
showed up a lot. I was like, why are you friends with this girl? Honestly,
yeah, like because like what I loved about her is that she was at her core. She hated being a mother, so she put a lot of energy into being a social climber, but was not that good at it. And so it's like she was constantly
also just wanted friends.
She just wanted a friend.
She wanted friends her age. And that's one of the things she does say when she's like kind of breaking down and trying to like talk to her husband about like how she feels. And she's like, this is not what everybody my age is doing right now. And they're having like these like things. And I think it's like more of like, she was just, we could have seen the side of like maybe that like her friends, she doesn't get to have those friends because she has the family.
Kids,
yeah.
And so this evil psycho that she hangs out with is the only one who'll still hang out with her despite, you know, her having kids all the time. She's just like, yeah, whatever. Like, which I thought was so funny, because it's like she was the one part of this evil woman's life where it's like, it's almost like she didn't care enough to control her. She was just like, you're not actually important enough in the grand scheme.
Maybe it's because she literally like, this person is never going to do anything to me. They can't do anything to me. So what's the point of me like putting energy into it?
And also like what's the harm of letting her hang around with me? Like, she's not going to affect any of my plans. Whatsoever. All she cares. And also she was another connection to the ex-husband, right? Because like his only friend is this woman's husband. And so, but you know what? I found,
and they all know the like main person who's the owner of the contract marriage place too. They're all like, because they have tea together. At the three of them.
The fancy lady tea house. That's basically what it is, right?
Yeah, it is.
Heritage Center or whatever. It's basically like their version of like what's that, like the ladies of the Confederacy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know,
where they can bicker in front of each other very politely.
And like, you know, do all these passive aggressive things while being refined rich ladies. Like,
with their small little teacup.
Their tiny teacups and their fancy rice cakes and their flower arranging classes. Like the show was great if you like that sort of show, and I think that's pretty much.
So, who would we recommend it to? Like what type of dramas? If someone liked fill in the blank dramas, they would like this one.
I feel like if someone liked like tense crime dramas, I think would like this, because it has the tense vibe of a crime drama.
It's got like a good thriller aspect to it, you know.
I feel like if you liked like Into the Darkness, you'd probably like this. I feel like if you liked like something, I know this is a little bit more exciting, but I feel like if you like The Glory, it has the same sort of like, not violent, it doesn't have that much violence in it, but it does have the same sort of like tense feeling to it, character-driven feeling to it. Not quite as satisfying of like it doesn't have the revenge aspect, which is like narratively satisfying, but it does have the, you know, the tense vibe. If you're someone who really likes off-Broadway shows, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like who likes going to art house performances, I feel like you would like this. That's basically who I think would like it.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head that feels like extremely character driven shows, because there are some others that it's like when you get to the nut and bolts of the show, you can kind of put the plot aside slightly. Like, yes, the plot is there, but like, and for this show, I do think the plot is still very important, but not really the trunk so much. I will say that the trunk, it is a MacGuffin. Like, the trunk
is very much a MacGuffin.
But as far as the plot of like the murder and, you know, so there's some stuff going on.
I will say,
I just can't think of another example like off the top of my head, but they're extremely character-driven shows. Like if you walk away going, I really liked the exploration of those characters.
I feel like a lot of their relationship, like you like get in a lot of mellow sometimes, like where you just have the like one-on-one talks, and that's how the relationship develops. I feel like there is something like it's in the back of my brain and I can't like
one just came to me, which is At a Distance Spring is Green. I think if you like that, it has the same sort of like broken people helping each other thing to it. Very different vibes from the like, you know, the characters, but
Call It Love.
There we go.
I know like no one has watched it. Hey, if you like this, go watch Call It
Love on Disney Plus or Hulu. Like
yes, but because it is character driven, it's slow paced character intertwined stuff, and it's very sad. Like it's very emotionally, it's still like, oh, this is kind of a downer. Like the whole time.
Maybe it's got like more of like a movie quality. What's the one movie now? I can't think of it. That it's your movie, Sky, the letter one, like
the Lake House.
Yeah, like I feel like there's just something.
Yeah,
the connection. It's like Lake House is not like perfect for this, but like there's just like some things.
Ilmare is the Korean one. Like Ilmare.
Maybe something like My Liberation Notes, because that's very sort of like character. It's a little bit more a lot of things, but like it's very character driven. Sort of less
like
so,
honestly, like Because This Is My First Life has moments like because this is my first life is kind of the more comedic, happier of like what like kind of the elements we're seeing and like the younger elements, like because this one definitely deals with like older characters too. I think that's like the bigger thing, that like if you want a show where it's older characters talking about like relationships, I think you'll be really into that.
And maybe if you want sort of a less sort of suffocating character one, maybe like, you know, When the Weather Is Fine has the sort of like,
oh, you know what, their like quiet moments are very close to what the quiet moments in this show is.
I will say this director, Kim Kyu-tae, he also directed Our Blues and Live.
Oh, okay.
Or Live?
Oh yeah,
it's okay,
Live.
Live.
I
Sorry.
loved Live.
You know what? I could see if you liked
he also did Moon
you'd
Lovers.
like Live.
Yeah, Live is really good.
Yeah. Because like Live is the cop one, and it's like, so it's got a lot of like the characters talking deep about things, but like also you have the crime aspect. Although it like changes pretty much every week.
It's not like there's not like an overarching crime.
It's the one with Kwang Soo in it.
Yeah.
He's incredible in it. That's one of like my favorite shows that he's ever been in.
Not that It's Okay, That's Love, which is another one of my favorite shows that Kwang Soo is in.
That's a good one.
That's a really good show.
I mean, also the executive producer on Hotel Del Luna. I mean, this person. The Crown Clown.
And the Crown Clown, he's done quite a bit of good stuff. He did The Winter That Wind Blows. That Winter the Wind Blows. That's a good one. Also Scarlet Heart, which I think is not. I feel like maybe Scarlet Heart and this show are in a different recommendation pool. Well, you know what I mean?
The screenwriter did
wrong, yes.
And a bunch of drama specials.
But this show is good if you like that sort of thing. I think is the only way to like
Yeah, it does kind of like mash up a bit like of things, so I don't think there's like a specific, but like if there are like the moments, because like some moments could be like search www.
I would say it could be someone's first interaction with a thriller, but I do think people that like thrillers may like it as long as they do like character-driven type thrillers.
Yeah.
Pretty much all there is to say from our end, I think. I hope you enjoyed it, hanging out with us, and maybe you enjoyed the show as well. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you didn't, we hope you enjoyed hanging out with us anyway. Next week we'll be taking it casual style next week. Next week is going to be a very different episode. A very different casual style episode next week. A little
it's going to be so fun.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. So you should come back next Monday and hang out with us again. But thank you for hanging out with us today. And if you want to hang out with us in the past us from the past, we're wherever podcasts can be found.
The time travelers.
We're also on YouTube and video. So like and subscribe, you know how they always say. And you can go to our website, certifiednoonas.com, to find us, where we have every episode we've ever done that you can listen to straight on the website, and with time codes and links to where to find stuff we talk about. And if you want to support this podcast because you just love the vibes of what's happening here, you can go to join our found family at patreon.com/certifiednoonas. Our found family is our supporters on the web. They're our little fam, our little parasocial fam that we have. We're actually genuinely friends with a lot of them. Like we genuinely know these people. And we do little mini episodes, and we have a movie night every month, and we have a good time. We love the fan family. Chef's kiss. And so that's basically it. We hope you hang out with us again. As always, stay safe, wear a mask, wash your hands, maybe check out the trunk or some other fun pieces of Korean dramatic serialized television, and keep enjoying Asian entertainment. All right, see ya. Bye.
Bye.